everyone, it's Renee with Blue Rhubarb here, and today what we're going to do is we're going to create a tutorial for you on how to create one of our new signature round latch hook wall tapestry kits. And so your finished project is going to look something like this. So this is one of our new color palettes that we're just releasing here this year in 2026. And so it's going to be a really nice full lush round tapestry. If you are familiar with any of our latch hook kits, we've done some rectangular wall tapestries, and this one's just a little bit different, and it's going to be a round one just to kind of go with some of our signature round woven wall hangings. So this is a new line that's come out, and this is going to be what it's going to look like. So here is it from the back with our embroidery hoop attached. So I've just kept it with a raw edge around, lightly secured, just to show you. And today in this tutorial we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this. This makes it pretty easy and convenient for you once it's complete just to go ahead and hang, because you can just tack a tack or a nail or whatever you use to hang photos, and you can just hang it from the fastener there at the top. So there we go. So this is what it looks like, or what it will be completed project is going to look like. So included in your kit, you're going to receive a embroidery hoop, approximately about 9 inches in width. You're going to receive a latch hook tool. You're going to receive the rug canvas, some pre-cut latch hook yarn, and then you're going to either get your pattern in a printed form, your instructions digitally, or however that looks. So your pattern will include all of those. What I would recommend you getting is yourself a marking pen, so a pair of scissors, and some potential backing, because as I mentioned in this completed project there isn't backing on it, but you could put like a piece of felt on it, and that would just keep everything protected and tight and secure. So if you want to get a piece of felt backing, you can. An alternative method that I do have in some of my instructions that I can show you, I won't be doing that here today, but you can just do the fold over and sew method, and then you don't need the hoop. But in this tutorial and within these kits, the hoop is here for you, ready to go, so that you can make your wall hanging. So I'm just going to set that off to the side. So first what we want to do is I just want to point out that if you are new to latch hooking, I would recommend you go and check out one of my beginner how to latch hook tutorials, because I'm just going to briefly touch on it a little bit here today, because we're just going to go ahead and get started with this project. So you can do that. I will do a little bit of showing you how to insert the hook and how to latch hook here today, but you can check one of those tutorials out. One thing I do want to point out to you is that this rug canvas has two types of lines on it. So you're going to see some horizontal lines here. I'm just going to show you that there. Hopefully you can see that. So these horizontal lines that are running this way are two double lines, and then you have some twists. When you're setting your fabric out, or your canvas, you want to make sure that the double lines are running horizontally and the twists are going vertically, because you're going to be latching your yarn pieces and making knots on the double lines. If you were to attach them on these twisted lines, it would fall apart, because the integrity and the strength within the canvas lies within these double lines. So just make sure that when you're setting it out and you're marking and getting started, that the double lines are running horizontally and the twists are running vertically. Okay, so that's one thing that I just wanted to point out. And the other piece is I just wanted to mention, oops, it's all messed up here, is I just like to get all of my yarn pieces out in a container by their colors, and it keeps everything set and organized and together and ready to go, so that as you're latching, you can just pull the color as you need to, and you don't have to fiddle with packaging or anything like that. So everything is all, I like to just use a tray or a box or whatever might work for you. You can use cups or what have you, that's fine. So I just like to do that. And then one other thing I want to mention is that in all of our kits, you're going to see the yarn is coordinated with a number, and you're going to refer to the legend on what color corresponds to that number. So in your pattern here, you're going to see all of your color blocks laid out for you for this round hoop, and any of the blank squares mean no stitches, and then the stitches are all on the color blocks. So you're just going to find the corresponding number with the yarn piece. To give it some nice full texture, I like to have threads of different thicknesses and a variety of fiber types. So in most of my kits, they're either 1 or 2 yarn pieces per stitch, and so you're just going to refer to your legend that's included in your kit with your pattern on what number and how many yarn pieces are for that color. So for example, this color is the number 7 in this kit, and it requires just 1 piece because it's quite a bit thicker. This one here is the number 8 piece, and you can see they're quite a bit thinner, so they require 2 pieces. And I just like to have a variety of yarn types just to give it some dimension and texture, and then the 2 just really help to like give it some fullness and some thickness. I find that just 1 piece of this thin yarn just kind of gets lost in that pattern, so 2 pieces just works really well. So just make sure that you're keeping in mind that when you're looking at the colors, you're checking to see if it's 1 strand or 2. Okay, so those are just a couple pieces that I wanted to point out before we get started. So now referring back to our pattern here, we have it set out where it's 29 blocks across and 29 blocks up high. So each of your pre-measured fabric rug canvas pieces are set out to allow for those dimensions. And so what I like to do is take a marking pen to show my working area that I'm going to have for my canvas and what I'm going to work within. So to do that, I like to mark out a nice border. And so the border is going to be where you're going to have your hoop around. You might be able to see just a little bit of this hoop outline that I just used as a measure guide. So what I like to do is I like to make 4 or 5 blocks all around my area that I'm going to work within. So let's start from the bottom. We're going to count 5 up from the bottom, 4 or 5. I like 5. It just gives a nice border around. So we're going to go 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to go 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to start right here. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go 29 blocks because that's what our pattern indicates. So we're going to go 29 up the side. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in between these lines here, they're marked out with 10 blocks. So that's easy counting for you. So that would make it up to, so that's 9, and then 10, so it's 19, and 29 would just take it to this line. Okay, so then we're just going to double check. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So this line across here on our top, this blue line is going to be the top part of our outline. I don't need to count. You can if you want just to verify. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 17, 27, 28, 29. So we're going to go there. And then we're just going to bring it down. So we're going to go 10, 20, 22, 9. Okay, so there we go along that side, and then we're just going to carry along the bottom. Okay, so here we have our working area that we've marked it out all along this area. So we're going to work between, this is our work surface of where our pattern is going to go. So you're going to use this line here as your reference. I like to work from the bottom up on your fabric or your canvas. The reason for that is because if you pull from the top and you work down, you're going to run the risk of pulling your yarn pieces through your project, and it's just going to make a mess. So I like to work from the bottom up to the top, and then you're going to work from the right to the left, because I'm right-handed, so I just like to move from the right to the left. If you choose not to, you can go the other way, that's fine, but in this tutorial that's what we're going to do. So this is our bottom corner. So you're going to find your pattern here, and we're going to find the bottom corner of our pattern. So you can see that starts with block number 1. So as mentioned, any of these open spaces are blanks, so there's no stitches there. So what we want to do is we want to count out 10 blocks over, and then our starting stitch will be right here at this number 4. And the number 4 is this corresponding navy color. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to count out our 10. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's our starting point. I think it might be helpful for me to zoom in a little bit for you so you can see this a little bit better. Just 1 second. Okay, there we go. So it'll be nice and close for you guys. Okay, so here we go. So here we have, oops, I'm sorry. Set out our 10 across. Okay, so here we go. So we have 10, so let's just double check because I lost my spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks. So on the 11th block, that's where we have the number 4. Okay, and it's this navy. So what we're going to do is to start is you find your starting row, which is this first one. You're going to take your hook and you're going to insert it up into the space above, because we want to be making knots and attaching the yarn to this row. So this is the row we want to work on, so we want to push our tool up and have it go through, and you push it up enough until this clasp opens up. Then we take our yarn and we wrap our yarn piece around, and I just like to hold it with 2 hands. I like to hold it off to the side because now, and it's going to be around the tool, this clasp needs to be open. So then what I like to do is I like to wrap it and pull it so that it kind of catches. Can you see that? So it's catching in the clasp, and then the clasp is going to close, and then in that we just hold and put just a little bit of tension up here on the ends of the yarn pieces, and we're just going to pull it straight down. And when you pull it straight down, that's just going to make a nice knot on that line. So that is the number 4, which is the blue. That's our first stitch on the bottom row, and so that's number 1. So then number 2 is going to be this color again, according to our pattern. So we're just going to follow our pattern, follow the legend, and then just stitch from the right to the left, from the bottom up to the top, and that's going to be our row. So this is row 1. So here we go. So we have our first 2 stitches in on our bottom row, and we're just going to move on along onto our pattern. So the number 1 is next, and it looks like there's 3 stitches of those. So we're just going to move along. We're going to wrap the yarn around, put your tool up, in, and pull it down, and we're going to do that for 3 stitches. And this is all just according to our pattern and the corresponding number with the color. You just follow the pattern along of your color blocks. Okay, so there's 3 there. So now we're at the number 2 here, which is this gray. So this is the gray, which is here, and it's the single smaller strands. So that requires 2 pieces. So we're just going to put 2 pieces together, making sure that the ends are lined up. We're going to do the exact same piece steps with this piece as we did with the other ones. So then we just hold the 2 pieces together and pull it down. Okay, and that's for 2 stitches. Okay, so 2 knots are going to be there. So we're just going to go ahead here and do 2 pieces. And then the next one on our pattern is this number 3, which is this guy, this gray, and we have 1 piece of that. that. So that's going to be here. And we have 2 of them there. So now what we want to do is we just want to double check on our pattern to make sure that it's the correct number across. So it's going to be 10 across this way. So we're just going to make sure that we have 10 blank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it is 10 to the corner. So that's all blank. So that's our row 1. So now we're going to move along and go to row 2. So let's just refer back to our pattern. Row 2 is here. So it's 2 blocks, or as this pattern indicates, 8 blank, and then we start on our first stitch. So again, it's number 4, which is the navy. So we want to find our navy. I just go know that it's, so we can count across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is here, and then the start is right on this one. Okay, and so the second row is the next one right up. Okay, so you're just going to stick your tool in. It's 2 over, and it's 3 of those navy pieces that we're going to do on row 2. Oops. Okay, so there we go. So that's 1. And you just want to make sure that you're pulling down on those yarn pieces, giving them a nice tug so that it tightens that knot nicely on your canvas. Okay, and I just like to do that for each piece as we go along. And then it just makes sure that we have a nice tight row, and we're going to carry along. So now it's 1 white. And then the pattern is this cream, so it's this number 8, and we have 2 of those. So we have 1. Okay. 2 of those. And then we have 1 white. So I'm just grabbing my yarn from my tray here and pulling it across. So you can see how that just makes it a little bit quicker and easier work as we go along. And so then we have 2 gray, the lighter gray. Okay, I'm just going to make this work across. 1 of the darker, and then 3 of the brown to take it to the other side. So now you can see that your circle is getting built out the side. So you insert your tool, pull it up, pull it down. So it's just that motion, and that's why I like to work on a flat surface, because it just allows for your hook to kind of go in and go. So there's the second row. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to carry on from the bottom and working our way all the way up to the top, and it's just going to work out as we go along. So I'm just going to carry on, let you carry on to here, and I will catch up to you once we hit this edge and we can see where we're going to go. So you just continue to do your hooking, follow your pattern. The row 3 would be the next one right up on top, and as your pattern indicates, it's 2 more over, so 6 from the side. So we would count out 6 from the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then our starting stitch would be right there, and we're going to take that and go across, and then we're going to do that all the way up our piece until we have a good section of it complete, and I will come back and I will check in with you guys then. Okay, so I was just going to take a break and show you that I've made my way up part way through to this, almost to like the bottom bit of our project, and I've made it to each side. So starting at this one to this one, made it all the way to the edges of our border here, and this is how it's turning out. Hopefully yours looks the same. If we turn it over in the back, you can see how nice and neat all and tight all of those knots are on the back side, and as we're making our way, which is just gorgeous, and we're just going to continue to go. So now we are here at this full one at the side is number 9 at this start here. So then we're just going to carry along all of those up until 20. Okay, and then from there, then we start decreasing the same way that we did on the bottom, we're just going to reverse it and do it up on the top. So you're just going to lose here and here. So I just wanted to take a quick minute to show you how that looks. Should be nice, thick. You can see all those colors coming together. And we are making a really lovely, nicely full textured round wall hanging. So what I want you to do is I want you to continue to go all the way from 9 here at the bottom, all the way up to 20 up the side, and then I'll catch you there where we start to decrease and move our way back. Okay, so just carry on, follow the pattern, and move your way, and I'll just catch you once we get up to that number 20 mark. Okay, so we've managed to get all of our stitching across all the way up to row 20, and so here we're over half done. We just have the last 9 rows left to do. So what I wanted to show you, and I just wanted to stop here and then pop back in, is that just as in the bottom we increased to the edge, now we're going to decrease to the top. Okay, so we're just going to go here, we're going to do our next stitch is going to skip one spot, and then it's going to move over, because that's what's according to our pattern. So we're going to skip one stitch, and we're going to put the next color, which is this cream, and that's 2 strands. Okay, so we're going to skip one stitch, and then we're going to go there, which is the cream, and then we're going to go follow our pattern across. Just 1 white, 2 blue. Just kind of brought a few out here just to get them out of my box because I'm running low as we move to the end. Okay, so then we just need 2 blue. Okay, and then we have 2 white. And we're going to do that all the way across to decrease 1 block on the other side. Okay, so we're just going to do that. We're going to keep carrying on. And you're going to notice that you're going to get some fuzz and some fluff along here, which is okay. And then some of your pieces may feel like they're a little bit uneven, which is okay because we are going to do some trimming. So it's not a problem. We will work all of that out as we go along, or as we finish, and I can show you that in your next steps. So what we're going to do is we're just going to carry along here with the pattern, decreasing each block according to what our pattern is telling us to do along these sides to decrease to reach our top point up here. Okay, so we're just going to follow our pattern. So this is row 21. So row 22 is still just 1 block. So it would be in the exact same spot. Then we would have row 23 is 2. So then we go 1, 2, and we have it here. Okay, and then we're just going to keep moving until we reach up to the top, and we're just going to have our last set of stitches there. So I'm going to let you carry on decreasing each block as we get to the top, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so we've made it here to the top. We've finished off all of our stitches, and you can see how it's come together on the top, and we have all of our edges. So what I want you to do is we're going to, this could be a little bit tricky, but we're going to put the embroidery hoop on. And so in order to do that, we need to just squish all of this up. There's a couple of different ways that we can do it. We can trim it first if we wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the hoop on, and then I'll go ahead and I'll trim afterwards. So if it seems like I'm skipping some steps, you haven't missed anything, I just haven't done it yet. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead here, and we're going to gather all of this up, and we're going to bring it all up tight as much as we can. So we're going to take our embroidery hoop and we're going to separate it from the outside to the inside. Okay, you want to make sure that this is loose, not all the way where it comes apart, but just enough so that it's got as much as it's going to be, because it's going to be a little bit tight for some of you. Okay, so here we go. So we're just going to take the inner part of the hoop and we are just going to set it over or underneath and put our latch hook on top of it. So what I want to try to show you here is we want to have, and I'm just going to maybe zoom in if I can. I hope you can see this. Oops. Try to zoom in if I can. And I hope you can see that the edge of the hoop is right along the edge of our lines here. That's what we want. We want the back edge of our hoop right around all along where we had our border. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead here so you can see that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to puff this all up. I'm going to make sure it's straight as much as it can be on the top, as much as it can be on either side, so that the border of it borders all of it. Okay, so it could shift and turn a little bit on you. That's going to happen. We're going to have to move this around just a little bit, a couple times. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this outer piece on the front side. Okay, so make sure it's square and even on the front side here. And we're just going to try to line it all up, get as much of these little pieces up as you can. Some of them may get caught underneath there, and that's okay. We can always pull them out. Okay, so just making sure that that is up at the top. And we're just going to, the reason why it's loose is that then you might have to do a little bit of jigging around here where you have to pull a bit on the top and the bottom just to get that to fit, because it's kind of popping a bit, and that's part of why it's just so tight. So we've got the bottom set and we have the top set. There we go. So now we have it on. Show you the back. So there it is. Okay, so we have our back part here, and you can see that it's on the hoop. And what we just want to do is then you just want to make sure that the outer hoop is even all around. And then we're going to do some tweaking. Now this takes a little bit of trickiness. So you see there, I got a piece of yarn stuck, which is okay, because I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to check everywhere else all around to see if that's the case for all of them, and they all look good. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make sure that this edge is a little bit closer over here. So to do that, I just need to put some pull here, keeping in mind that I want the hoop to stay on while I'm doing this. Okay, so you're just kind of holding it down against your flat surface or your table. So now you can see that as we do that, and then we're going to do that here on the top. Okay, so we're just going to pull that down, and then that puts some nice tension all around. And so we've been able to get all of that pretty even. And so you can see that there. There's our border line. Up here, there's our border line. Over here, there's our border line. Okay, so now as we have it in position where we want, you take your top screw here, and we're just going to tighten this up. Oh, I'm doing that, I'm right-handed. So we're just going to tighten this up, and as we tighten it up, then we can pull it some more, just to make sure we get all of that and it's nice and tight, and we get all of that tension out. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to go along, and then now that that is nice and tight on there, that's perfect, that's the way I want it. I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to make sure this is nice and tight. Try to tighten this up as much as you can, because the tighter this screw is, the tighter it's going to stay all nicely on there. So now you see how there's not a lot of tension on the back. It's nice and tight there, and it's nice and loose all around. So now you can take your hoop and you can fluff it all out, and you're going to see that as you do that, all of these bits kind of come off, and that's okay, because we're just going to go ahead and pull them and trim them anyway. So we're going to take that off. So this is where it gets a little bit messy. Here is we're going to trim up this where we want to trim it. Okay, so we can kind of see sometimes there's some pieces that are sticking out as it gets to the edge and then as we've pulled it. So I want you to kind of make sure it's pulled and it's on your embroidery hoop, just like that, where you want it. We'll trim all this afterwards, but we're going to tackle these pieces. So this is where your scissors come in, and it's going to get a little bit messy, and we're just going to come along here. It's messy, but this is the fun part. And we're just going to go and just do some light, hold your scissors flat along it here. Not a lot, because I like to have, I don't like it super manicured. I like it a little bit loose, but you don't want too many of those loose yarn pieces popping up out over the other ones. Okay, so as we're just going to go along here, just going to kind of turn it as I go so it doesn't feel so awkward. It's going to kind of make a nice circle pattern around. Doesn't want to be too trim, but you want it nice and even. And if you see there's some pieces that are a little bit off based on where that falls on your tension, you can do that and just kind of go ahead and trim it. Okay, so I'm just going to do it like this a little bit more. We're going to snip all of this down. Okay, so this you can see how this can kind of get quite messy, right? So right, so it can get quite messy here, but that's okay. So I just want to brush some of it off, fluff it up where you need to fluff it up, and we can just kind of see where we want to trim it for right now. So I'm just gonna see where we want to go. Rid of that big fluff. So there we go. So we've got some of our fluffy pieces off. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead here. Okay, so I'm satisfied with how that looks. Give that a fluff out. So then I find a little shop vac kind of helps, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to push it off to the side. But I like to just get a little shop vac and get all those little bits up, because it can be quite messy. And see, as I do that, there's a couple that kind of pop up. We can fix more of them later. But for right now, we're just going to do that. And then we're going to get rid of some of these edges. So we're just going to go ahead here. We're going to trim all of these corner pieces off like this. Okay. All these corner pieces off. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold this over, and you can do this a couple different ways. So you can fold this over and you can take a needle and thread. Sorry, excuse me. You can take a needle and thread and sew, do kind of like a fold and sew pattern and get that nice and tight and fold that onto itself. Or what you can do, and sort of for time, so you can just go ahead and you can fold all of that on itself, and you can trim wherever you need to, just to get that nice clean look. Or you can take a glue gun and just go ahead here and just put a bead of glue all along here to glue this all down. And then that way, when you do that, You just folding and gluing, and you can trim as you go. And then what ends up happening is this is all nicely cleaned off. Okay, as you've tucked it all in, trimmed it out, what have you, and then you can still go in here and take a look and see if there's any additional trimming that you want to do. You can go ahead and do that. If not, once you've got that back part all set, then your piece is ready to go. So you're left with this really nice round wall hanging. You can trim it as you need to. So this is where I'm just going to show you here, because I'm not going to use the glue gun in this tutorial, but you get the idea, is that you just use it there, and I'm going to show you that. So I've just gone and I've kind of trimmed it a little bit, and I went in and I just glued it along the top here and a little bit on the inside edge, and then I just trimmed the excess where I needed to. So see, I'll just show you that. So then it's all cleared off, and then it's flush. So then you can see here, your whole piece should be nice and flush, and you have it on. And that's where, if you want to do a piece of felt backing on here, you can. That would totally be appropriate, just to cover that up, and then that would just cover these fray pieces, which I'm probably going to do that to this, but there you go. So this is one of our palettes, and then this is the other palette, and there's two other ones that you can find in the shop that are available at shopbluerhubarb.ca. You can check them out. I'd love to see how your finished projects turn out and look, so please feel free to tag me on Instagram. That would be lovely, and I look forward to seeing all of your creations, and I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks very much.